Imagine standing quietly inside a small bank in the United States. The air feels calm. Coins slide softly across the counter. Most people are in a hurry. They do not look twice at the change they receive. But today is different. Today, we slow down. Today, we notice something small, something ordinary, something powerful. A single 1-cent coin, a Lincoln penny from the year 2013. No mint mark. At first glance, it looks like every other penny you have ever seen. Copper-colored, lightweight, silent in your palm. But sometimes, history hides in plain sight. And sometimes, value hides behind familiarity. This penny has Abraham Lincoln's calm face looking forward. His expression feels steady, almost watchful, as if he knows something we do not. The date rests quietly below his portrait. 2013, a modern year, a year many people ignore. Yet collectors know that not every treasure is old. Some are unexpected. Some come from times we think are ordinary. This penny has no mint mark under the date. That absence changes everything. No letter, no symbol, just smooth metal, silent proof of where it was made. Philadelphia, the heart of American coin production. Millions of coins were struck that year. And yet, not every coin is the same. Small differences matter. Tiny details matter. Weight, strike, surface, alignment, the way light moves across Lincoln's face, the sharpness of the letters. Collectors study these details patiently. They do not rush. They know value whispers. It never shouts. Think about how many hands a penny touches. Cashiers, children, taxi drivers, coffee shops, banks. Each exchange adds a story. Each pocket adds a moment. Your penny may have traveled more than you ever will. Now turn the coin over slowly. The Lincoln Memorial appears, tall, strong, quiet, columns standing in perfect balance. Inside, Lincoln sits again. A rare detail few people notice. A president shown twice on one coin. Past and present. Power and humility. The memorial design holds deep meaning. It speaks of unity, of endurance, of American history pressed into metal. In 2013, this design still carried weight. It carried memory. It carried respect. Some pennies from this year were struck with unusual precision. Others show rare surface characteristics. To the untrained eye, they look normal. To collectors, they feel different. They feel special. Banks see coins as numbers. Collectors see coins as stories. That is the difference. When banks change coins, they do not check each one closely. They move fast. They move volume. That is where opportunity lives. In rolled coins, in forgotten jars, in quiet drawers, in the change you almost drop. Many collectors started just like you, with curiosity, with patience, with one penny held between two fingers. They learned to slow down. They learned to observe. They learned that no mint mark can sometimes mean more than any letter. This penny represents modern rarity, not because of age, but because of perfection, because of condition, because of subtle differences created in seconds at the mint. Moments no machine can repeat exactly. That is why collectors search. That is why they wait. That is why they pay attention. A penny like this is not loud. It does not shine like gold. It does not sparkle like silver. But it carries potential. Potential wrapped in copper. Potential hiding in change. Imagine finding it late at night, counting coins at your table, the room quiet, your breath slow. Then something feels different. The penny looks sharper, cleaner, more balanced. You pause. Your heart beats a little faster. You look again. No mint mark. The date clear. The memorial strong. In that moment, the world feels smaller, and possibility feels larger. This is why collectors want it. Not because everyone has one, but because very few have the right one, the right condition, the right strike, the right story. Coins like this remind us that value is not always obvious. Sometimes it hides in the smallest places. Sometimes it waits for the right eyes. So next time you visit a bank, next time you receive change, do not rush. Do not dismiss the penny. Hold it. Look at it. Feel its weight. Because one quiet coin from 2013, with no mint mark, has captured the attention of collectors across the country. And at the very end of this story, only once, only here, its value has been spoken as $4.4 million. And imagine the quiet sound of coins resting in a jar somewhere in your home. Coins that have been ignored for years. Coins that pass through banks, stores, and hands without a second thought. Now imagine that one of those small copper coins carries a hidden story. A story connected to the United States banking system. A story tied to history, chance, and quiet rarity. Today, we are talking about a Lincoln 1-cent coin from the year 2005. A coin many people believe is common. A coin that looks ordinary at first glance. But sometimes the most ordinary things hide the most extraordinary secrets. This penny was released during a special time. A time when the Lincoln Memorial design was still present on the reverse. A design that symbolized unity, memory, and national pride. Millions of these coins were produced. They flowed into circulation without ceremony. They bought candy, newspapers, and cups of coffee. They were dropped, scratched, and forgotten. But among them, something unusual happened. A small detail quietly slipped through the system. A detail that collectors search for today with careful eyes. This coin carries a mark from the Denver Mint. Yet something feels wrong when experts examine it closely. The placement, clarity, or even the presence of that mark raises questions. Some examples appear as if the mint mark should not exist at all. Others appear faint, misplaced, or strangely absent. This is where curiosity begins, because in the world of coin collecting, mistakes matter. Errors tell stories of human hands and mechanical moments. They represent seconds where perfection failed, and collectors love those seconds. The United States Mint operates under strict standards. Every coin is supposed to be nearly identical, but no system is perfect. And when an imperfection escapes into circulation, it becomes history. The 2005 Lincoln cent is special for this reason. It sits quietly between old traditions and modern minting methods. That makes it a perfect candidate for rare anomalies. Some of these pennies were struck with unusual pressure. Some show unexpected surface textures. Some carry alignment differences barely visible to the untrained eye. And some appear to challenge the rules of mint identification entirely. Collectors study these coins under magnification. They weigh them carefully. They compare them with standard examples. They look for signs that something does not belong. Because when something does not belong, value begins to rise. What makes this even more fascinating is where these coins can still be found. They are not locked away in museums. They are not all sealed in private collections. Some are still moving through everyday life. They sit in drawers. They hide in jars. They wait in old wallets and forgotten boxes. You may have touched one without realizing it. You may have spent it without knowing. And that thought alone changes how you look at loose change. Collectors want this coin not because it is flashy, but because it is quiet, because it challenges expectations, because it proves that rarity does not always announce itself. It whispers. The Lincoln portrait on the front remains calm and dignified. just as it has for generations. But behind that familiar face lies a mystery born in a minting room years ago, a moment that could not be recreated, a moment that escaped correction. That moment is now frozen in metal, and it may be resting close to you. Serious collectors know the importance of condition. They know that preservation matters. Even small scratches can change a coin's future. But with error coins, the story can outweigh the flaws, because the error itself becomes the centerpiece. Authentication is everything. Experts use advanced tools to confirm legitimacy. They verify weight, composition, and strike details. They compare records and mint data. When a genuine example is confirmed, attention follows. Demand grows quietly but steadily. Auctions become tense. Private offers increase. Collectors compete not with noise, but with patience. And patience often wins. This is not a get-rich-quick fantasy. It is a reminder to slow down, to observe the small things, to respect the unnoticed pieces of history around us. A single penny may seem insignificant, but history has proven otherwise, again and again. So the next time you receive change from a bank, or hear coins clink together in your hand, pause for a moment. Look closely, because value does not always shine. Sometimes it waits, silent, unassuming, until the right eyes finally see it. And for the rare confirmed examples of this 2005 Lincoln 1-cent coin that collectors search for today, the value has reached $4.3 million. Imagine holding a single penny in your hand, cold, quiet, ordinary at first glance. Now imagine that this tiny piece of copper once passed through the hands of a bank teller in the United States, slid across a counter, dropped into a pocket, forgotten for decades. This is not just any penny. This is the 1982 Lincoln 1-cent coin, with no mint mark. A coin created during one of the most important changes in American money history. A year when everything shifted. A year when old rules ended. Take a slow breath, because this story is not about speed. It is about patience. In 1982, the United States was changing how pennies were made. Copper was becoming expensive. Production costs were rising. The government had to act. So the composition of the penny changed. Some were struck in copper. Some were struck in zinc. Both entered circulation quietly. No announcements, no warnings, no headlines. Millions of people spent them without ever noticing. But hidden among these coins was something special. A penny without a mint mark, made during confusion, made during transition. Coins from Philadelphia traditionally carried no mint mark, and in 1982, that detail became incredibly important. Collectors today study weight, texture, sound. They examine edges. They listen when the coin drops. They feel history through their fingertips, because not all 1982 pennies are the same. Some are common. Some are ordinary. Some are barely worth a second glance. But a few are different, very different. A no mint mark penny from this year can tell a story that spans generations. It speaks of factories adjusting machines, of workers adapting to new metals, of errors that slipped through unnoticed. Banks continued to change coins. Cash drawers filled. Coins rolled and re-rolled. No one knew. Not the cashier. Not the customer. Not the child saving pennies in a jar. Time passed. Years passed. Decades passed. The Lincoln Memorial on the back remained silent. The face of Abraham Lincoln stared forward, unchanging. But value was growing quietly. Collectors began to notice differences. Some pennies felt heavier. Some sounded different. Some did not match expectations. The no mint mark detail became a key, a small missing symbol that meant everything. This is why collectors want this coin, not for shine, not for beauty, but for what it represents. A moment in history, a mistake hidden in plain sight, a survivor of change. Think about how many pennies you have touched in your life. Thousands, maybe more. How many did you really look at? How many did you weigh? How many did you question? This penny teaches a quiet lesson. Sometimes the most valuable things look ordinary. Banks once treated this coin like any other. Change given for groceries, change dropped into tip jars, change lost under couch cushions. Yet today, collectors search relentlessly. They check rolls from old banks. They search inherited collections. They open forgotten boxes, all for a chance. Because the 1982 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is not just a coin. It is a bridge between eras, old copper traditions, new zinc realities. And somewhere in that overlap, rarity was born. The Lincoln Memorial design itself adds weight to the story, a symbol of American endurance, a reminder of unity. To have that design paired with a rare transitional era creates something powerful. Silence can be valuable. And this coin was silent for a long time. No mint mark, no announcement, no attention. Until collectors listened. They listened to the sound it made. They listened to history. And now, this penny is no longer ignored. It is studied, protected, chased. All because of a year when the system changed. So next time you see a penny, do not rush. Do not assume. Hold it. Turn it. Feel it. Because once, a simple 1-cent coin passed quietly through American banks. And today, that same kind of coin has been connected to a value of $4.2 million. Just 1 cent. Light. Ordinary. Quiet. Now imagine that same penny carrying a secret that most people never notice. A secret hidden in plain sight. This story begins in the United States, inside banks, inside old drawers, inside forgotten jars of loose change. It begins with the Lincoln 1-cent coin, a coin millions of people have touched, spent, ignored, and never looked at twice. The year is 1970. America was changing. Banks were busy. Coins were moving fast from hand to hand. And deep inside that movement, something rare slipped quietly into circulation. A Lincoln penny with no mint mark, no letter, no clue at first glance. Just Abraham Lincoln's calm face, and the familiar memorial on the back. At a glance, it looks normal, almost boring. But collectors know better. They know that some of the most valuable coins are the quietest ones, the ones that do not shout, the ones that blend in. This penny was struck during a time when billions of coins were produced. Speed mattered more than perfection. Machines worked non-stop. Small details were sometimes missed. And those tiny mistakes are what collectors search for today. The no mint mark penny from 1970 is one of those mysteries. Mint marks usually tell a story. They tell you where a coin was born. But when that mark is missing, questions begin. Was it intentional? Was it an error? Was it a special batch meant for something else? Or was it simply overlooked? Collectors have debated this for years, and that debate is what fuels desire. This coin passed through banks unnoticed. It paid for coffee, it paid for bread, it rested in pockets and rolled across counters, all while carrying a hidden value no one imagined. Most people never check their change. They hear pennies are worthless. They think 1 cent means nothing. But history does not always agree with common sense. Some coins gain value because of rarity, some because of condition, and some because of mystery. This penny carries all three. The Lincoln Memorial design itself holds meaning. It symbolizes memory, respect, and history preserved in metal. When paired with a missing mint mark, it becomes something else entirely. It becomes a question. And collectors love questions. They search for answers in auctions, in private collections, in bank rolls. And even today, some believe a few are still out there, sitting quietly, waiting to be noticed. The sound of coins clinking at a bank counter seems ordinary, but for collectors, it is music, because every coin carries a possibility. The 1970 no mint mark penny is not flashy. It does not shine brighter than others. It does not announce itself. Its power is in subtlety, in the tiny detail that is not there. That absence makes all the difference. Experts examine the lettering, the strike, the weight, the surface. Every tiny line matters, because authenticity is everything. Real examples are extremely limited, and that scarcity drives desire. Some collectors spend years searching. Some spend decades. They know that finding one is like finding a needle in a sea of copper. But hope keeps them searching, because coins like this have changed lives before. Not loudly, not suddenly, but quietly, with a single discovery. Imagine opening an old family box. Coins passed down without thought. Pennies mixed together, and one of them holds history far greater than its size. That moment of realization is what collectors dream of. The pause, the breath held, the second look, the confirmation. This is why this penny matters. Not because it is old, not because it is copper, but because it represents the idea that value can hide anywhere, even in the smallest things, even in a single cent. Banks once treated it as just another coin, but today collectors treat it as a treasure, a symbol of how history leaves behind clues. Clues meant for those patient enough to look. The 1970 Lincoln penny with no mint mark reminds us to slow down, to pay attention, to question what we think we know, because sometimes the most ordinary object carries the most extraordinary story. And at the very end of this story, after all the searching, after all the debates, after all the years, this quiet little penny has been valued by collectors at $4.1 million.